Hello, I hope you're doing well. This little video is designed to help you build your capacity to stretch your felt sense. Now, if you've experienced chronic pain, or perhaps you've had an injury that at the time of the event of injury, it was quite traumatic, and maybe you've developed a fear of movement, I want you to know that this particular technique is designed to help you feel safe in your body and ideally help you recognize that you are capable of moving freely and you can trust your body. So it's called somatic tracking, and somatic is essentially about you becoming aware of your sensory motor system. The sensory motor system is a feedback system or a network of communication between your environment, your spinal cord, and your brain. And we're looking at movement specifically to see what information we can gather. Now, if you have had an experience that was traumatic and perhaps has left you with chronic states of pain, or you have a diagnosis of a pain condition, just being mindful that movement can evoke fear. So we want to be grounded when we're practicing movement to build more safety in the body. And knowing that you might, on an unconscious level, move your body in these directions and these motions without any awareness throughout your day already. So we're bringing conscious awareness to the experiences. And just to be truly transparent, I am certain that you will do these movements on an unconscious level all the time. So your body will always work to support you and protect you. It's often our survival instincts and our fear response that can keep us stuck and continue to reinforce that our body isn't safe, but it is. And I want you to know that. And through this practice, you can build that safety. So something really important to establish is grounding when you're going to practice somatic tracking. Grounding is a sense of being present in the moment through knowing where your body is in space. Perhaps you're sitting on a chair or you're standing. We want to really be present in the experience that we are in. So wherever you are, firstly, taking in the room that you're in. And this is called orienting. So you're just gently looking around the room to gather information about the room to provide your brain and body with a sense of safety, physical safety. So when you're ready, just take a look around and grab onto a few clues. There might be colors, textures, images, shapes, smells, sounds, anything that's using your senses to gather information. And then coming back to the room, to the video, and just going, yep, I've gathered some information. And then we want to physically be here. So if you're standing, I invite you to rise up onto your toes if that feels okay, and then drop your heels down and kind of feel the thudding of your body and the weight of your body meeting the floor. So rising up and dropping down. Now, if you're sitting, you can do that in sitting, where you put your hands on the chair, lift your bum up and drop down. You might use your legs a little bit. And you just recognize that you're here. If you're sitting also and you want to do this as well as standing, you might just like rock from side to side, tilt your pelvis forward and back. If you're sitting in the chair, lean back into the chair. Feel the connection with the surface underneath you, wiggling your toes. If you've got shoes on, you can take them off and feel your feet on the floor. And that just brings you physically into the present moment. I'm going to give you one example using the head and neck of somatic tracking, and then you can play around with the rest of your body. If you aren't sure of what ranges of motion you have available to you and you want some guidance, you can reach out, drop a comment below, and I can give you some feedback there. So the first position is looking at the head and neck posture, and then we're going to move through different ranges of motion and also incorporate vagal breathing, which is promoting a sense of safety through the vagus nerve, and that helps us stay in what's known as a ventral vagal state, which is part of the autonomic nervous system, part of the polyvagal theory. The ventral vagal is safety and connection. Now, if you've got an experience or you do experience pain and perhaps fear of movement, you may notice your nervous system shift gears into your survival fight-flight response or sympathetic fight-flight response. And this is a natural response to a perceived threat. And what we want to do there, if it does happen, is self-regulate and emotionally regulate to then come back to feeling what's going on in our experiences with somatic tracking. So to start with, just getting comfortable where you are, taking a breath in, noticing where it lands in the body. Maybe do it again if you need to. And to start with, we're going to look at cervical flexion or neck flexion. So from a nice, tall, sitting or standing posture, can you imagine your head is sitting directly above your cervical vertebrae? And at any point, whether you're breathing in or out, we're going to gently flex the head forward and notice what you feel. For instance, I feel a stretch at the back of my neck and a contraction through the front of my neck. And then bringing your head back up slowly. So we're trying to be really mindful of how we're moving. We're noticing what it actually feels like to nod the head or chin, flex the head, the neck, feeling the muscles lengthen at the back into a stretch and feeling the muscles contract through the front. They're shortening to allow the movement to occur, and then slowly back up. And again, just paying attention not only to the sensations that you feel, but perhaps any thoughts or memories that come back if this particular motion is challenging for you. So let's go again. We're going to flex forward. Now, if anything arises here that might evoke any fear, I want you to just acknowledge that. And notice any physiological changes, perhaps increased heart rate, a sense of anxiety, maybe a thought that is taking you to the future of what could happen if you keep doing this motion, or to the past where the experience occurred initially. Just honor those experiences and remembering you're here in the present moment. You've got your feet on the ground, your bum on the ground if you're sitting. You're consciously aware of what's happening. And I want you to see if you can take a breath in and breathe out. And just staying with what's here. If it feels safe to, if it doesn't, you can always come out of the motion. Breathing in and breathing out. And if you are able to stay here, just noticing any changes that you feel within your internal experience. Those might be somatic, so felt. They might be thought or emotional. And then when you're ready, gently coming back up to the top and just acknowledging that you did that motion. Maybe you felt something. Maybe you thought something. Maybe you didn't. Whatever it was is totally fine. There's no right or wrong here. So this time we're going to go into neck extension. Now this is typically uncomfortable for a lot of people to do this. So I invite you to be very conscious of your range of motion and work within what feels safe for you. So we're going into extension where we look up towards the ceiling and just noticing what you feel. Now it's the opposite movement to flexion. So you might notice the musculature contracting differently. So as you go into extension, the back of the neck muscles contract to help support the motion, and the front of the neck stretches and lengthens. So this time we're going to come into the extension to where you feel comfortable and see if you can stay there for a couple of breaths. Just noticing what you feel. Noticing if anything's arising within that feels threatening or creates anxiety or worry. If it feels too uncomfortable, you can always come back. For me, that's quite uncomfortable. And just remembering that you're safe. When you bring yourself back to a central point, you are safe. And we're going to take that back into extension again when you feel ready. And seeing if we can use the breath to help guide that sense of safety to be more prevalent in this position. And then gently coming out when you're ready. And again, just sitting with what you feel here. Hopefully gathering some information about your experience. Maybe it's familiar information. Maybe it's new information. Just knowing that it's information is enough. It doesn't have to be make meaning out of it. So from here, this next round, we're going to look at rotation of the neck. And I'm going to look over my left shoulder, finding that nice tall spine, head position on top of the neck. And I'm going to rotate my head over towards my left shoulder and notice what it feels like. Feeling contraction to the side that I'm rotating towards, and a lengthening on the opposite contralateral side. And again to the same side. And just gathering as much information, noticing what you think about. Perhaps if a past thought or a future thought pops up, how does your body respond to that? Does that feel like it's become activated? Or do we feel safe in this motion? Do we feel connected and okay here? And let's just pause if it feels okay to, and come to the breath. And when you're ready, just gently coming back to the center point. And again, checking in and noticing what's going on for you after moving in that direction. And then when you're ready, we're going into the opposite direction. So organizing your spine, head and neck posture, rotating in the opposite. For me, I'm going over to my right shoulder. I feel like I have more range of motion here. A little bit tighter on the left-hand side. And that's okay. It's just information. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong, doesn't mean there's any tissue damage. Just by becoming consciously aware of it and being accepting of it helps to reinforce the somatic sense of safety in the body and the brain. Now we're going to stay here and just engage with this range. And gently coming back into the center. And just again checking in, seeing how you feel after moving through some ranges. The next active range of motion is lateral flexion. So we're going to side bend at the neck. For me, I'm going to bring my left ear to my left shoulder. Just taking in what that feels like without judgment, just exploring curiously with what I'm feeling. And I can feel a stretch on the right-hand side through my neck, down to the top of my shoulder, and even a little bit through the front, my neck, my SCM. And I can feel a contraction on the left-hand side. And it feels okay. It feels nice to stretch it. And I'm going to stay here. The further I go into it, the stronger the stretch feels on the right. And just being mindful of that increase in intensity can sometimes activate the nervous system. We want to stay with the breath to help us stay in the present moment with what we're feeling. Remembering at any point you can come back to neutral if you need to. And then coming back up to the top. Pausing for a moment at the top. And then going the other way. Again, just checking in with what it feels like. Definitely get a nice stretch down the left side. It doesn't go quite as far to my shoulder. It's more in the neck. And then coming back up. And again, feeling what's here. Stretch is definitely intensifying for me in the same region. And the last one, just going to stay here and take a few breaths in and out, just like we've done with all the other positions. And then gently returning to neutral and just taking in what you feel having moved your head and neck in the active ranges of motion that you have available to you. You will certainly have woken up some somatic sensations. Remember, you are a field of sensations. We often don't feel because we use our mind to stop feeling, to avoid feeling, to distract ourselves from feeling. So as we gently move through active ranges of motion that you have available to you through your joints, you can start to sense and feel the field of sensations that is within you, and you can develop the experience of feeling more than pain. Pain is one sensation, and there are lots of other experiences to feel in your felt sense body. Let me know if you would like any guidance on how else you can somatic track or you can use somatic tracking. Please comment or reach out. Thanks so much for practicing with me. Have a wonderful day.